It's also appropriate that he's Snake.
Follow me.
He's the demon spawn from the devil. Tempting her into eating that deliciously juicy apple. Alright, so I expect nothing less than about 10 to 20 minutes of cutscenes.
Your twin. You think you know him, but I know him better. He was once Ocelot, but Liquid has taken control of his soul. And now he's locked in a bitter struggle with Zero.
Zero.
The founder of the Patriots.
Founder. When did this happen?
40 years ago.
40.
During the Cold War, when the United States and the Soviet Union were still at odds. It was in that chaotic era that the Patriots were born. And I played my part. I was one of the founding members.
You.
Zero created the Patriots to manage and control the American state. That control endured long after the Cold War ended. The organization became an empty shell, continuing to function through AIs. Those AIs are responsible for the creation of the war economy, and they gave rise to the Sons of the Patriot system.
Okay, stuff we pretty much all know.
Partly to blame. I bear some of the guilt for creating the organization. It was right after I first met your father, Big Boss.
So who is she exactly?
Back in 1964, I was ordered to take part in a CIA.
This can't be the boss.
Operation
She's
Snake,
dead.
which concerned a new weapon the Soviets were developing at the time. My mission was to support a certain agent. That agent later became Big Boss, but I knew him as Snake.
Snake.
Yes, Nick.
Oh, what if it's the Chinese chick?
A name he would give to
Yeah, I think this is her.
The commander of this mission was a man called Zero, the head of Special Forces.
You mean Major Tom?
Back then, I was working as a double.
Yeah, it's all coming together.
My objective
was to have sex with every male character in that game, and I did it admirably.
and report it to Beijing. I was to acquire a microfilm showing the location of secret funds amassed by the Allied powers during World War II. But I failed in my mission and was expelled from China. I took the apple from the snake and was cast out.
How poetic.
After years on the run, I ended up in Hanoi. That's where I met him again. It was around then that Zero used the massive funds contained in the Philosopher's Legacy to start a new organization, the Patriots, which would carry out the final wishes of a certain legendary hero. The initial membership consisted of Big Boss, Sigint,
All the people, yeah.
Commander, Zero. Oh, and there was one more who we mustn't forget. He stayed behind in the Soviet Union to support the group as an informant. Ocelot, who is now Liquid. After your father rescued me in Hanoi, I went to America and joined their organization. Zero's goal was to achieve a unity of thought.
Is this before or after Peace Walker?
That was what the boss wanted, and the rest of the Patriots followed his lead.
Boss.
The boss was a legendary hero from
Yep. RPG to the womb.
Special Forces.
No more.
She had an almost overwhelming charisma about her. The CIA feared this,
So they had her tubes tied
if she had
with
survived,
shrapnel.
the world of the 21st century might have been a very different place. We were all influenced by the boss's will. It was what drove us to create this organization.
And now they're showing all the heresy and all the other stuff from the Christian religion.
We needed a special kind of icon. So we turned to Big Boss, the last son of the boss. He shared more of her life than anyone else. It was Big Boss, the true heir to her legacy, who was best suited to play this role.
So basically they became possessed about or obsessed about her.
Elevate misrepresentation, and outright lies. Zero disseminated these stories among the masses and gathered the rich and powerful to his banner. Every era needs its symbols to control the people, whether it be the stars and stripes,
The sickle and the star.
or
Oh yeah, well whatever. There was a hammer on the Soviet flag, I forget. I remember the sickle though.
as the times and currents of politics changed, so too did Zero. Eventually, he became a prisoner of his own lust for power, sparking friction between him and Big Boss, who resented playing.
Yep.
With Big Boss drifting away, Zero realized he would need insurance. Something that would perpetuate the existence of Big Boss, their organization's icon. And so Zero secretly embarked on a new project.
It was called Zone of the Enders.
Studying
They were never gonna make another game about it.
Big Boss, the ultimate soldier. The project was led by Dr. Clark, known at the time as Paramedic. After dozens of failures, they finally, miraculously, succeeded in producing a fertilized egg. The egg used in this successful in vitro fertilization came from Dr. Clark's assistant, a healthy Japanese woman.
Blood from the east flows within your veins.
Give birth to Big Boss. To realize this, I asked to serve as the surrogate mother, and was more than happy to carry you.
What the fuck? This is like Silent Hill.
9 months later, I gave birth to 2 Big Bosses, you and Liquid. It didn't matter that you were clones, or that they had manipulated your DNA. You were born the same way as any other normal child, from your mother's womb. But Les Enfants Terribles proved to be the final straw for Zero and Big Boss. Determined to oppose Zero and his plans, Big Boss broke away from the Patriots
Oh, yes, a split.
and created his own mercenary company.
Yep, this is probably when Peace Walker happens.
I'm sorry. Your father never wanted it. Human life isn't meant to be manipulated like that. I knew that, but I wanted you. After Big Boss left, Zero...
He really fucking lost it, that
What
nutcase.
Zero wanted was an orderly world, one governed by rules. His fortune grew through countless wars, and his words influenced decision-making all the way up to the Oval Office. As the world saw the rise of digital technology, IT, the internet, and genetics, the Patriots' power grew immense. Their roots spread and took hold throughout the globe. In time, they began to dictate the fate of entire nations from the shadows. And before we knew it, the Patriots, the proud police of the world, started bringing an entire planet under their control.
What, 5 people? Alright, so there's a little brief intermission here. I'll save my game. So it turns out all the people from Metal Gear Solid 3 became evil and obsessed with power, except for Big Boss, who then went on to have an actually good Metal Gear game under his name. That's what I'm getting so far.
Their intentions were fair, but their execution was flawed. Zero developed weapons, amassed armies, used information for extortion, all in order to gain more wealth. He was obsessed with controlling awareness on the inside from the outside. But I cannot imagine that's what the boss would have wanted. They both misinterpreted.
They're both fucking idiots. And now we have to pay the price by watching 10 hours of cutscenes.
And their absolute reverence for her drove them apart. So began the war between Zero and Big Boss. Opposing interpretations, each striving to realize the boss's will. Everything you see today stems from their Cold War. religion, and ideology. This war they've caused is no different from any other human error in history.
Oh, look. She even has no cleavage in the picture.
It all
Well, not no cleavage, but no clothing. Artwork provided only by the infamous Hideo Kojima.
There was nothing left of the boss's noble will in their struggle. All that remained was hatred, a passion to destroy one another. Big Boss returned to the U.S. with a plan in mind, and once again assumed command of Foxhound. In Outer Heaven, and then Zanzibar Land, Big Boss plotted coup d'etat against Zero. But you, Solid Snake, his own clone.
Yeah, and the 2 games I didn't even play.
Big Boss and Gray Fox, Frank Yeager, were left near death. Zero recovered their bodies. Frank Yeager's entire body was reconstructed through surgery, and he was reborn as the cyborg ninja. Big Boss, now a vegetable, became a prisoner of Zero even in death. For Zero, more than anyone else, your father was an irreplaceable icon. No, the truth is, for Zero, he was an irreplaceable friend. After Big Boss's betrayal, Zero could no longer believe in something so uncertain as life. He lost his belief in everything. Nations, organizations, individuals. Zero was no longer willing to place his organization in the hands of the next generation. Instead,
Aha.
of AIs, a decision-making system formed from all the information he accumulated. He built 4 AIs, GW, TJ, AL, and TR, as sort of a
Yeah, George Washington.
and 1 core artificial intelligence.
GW.
John Doe.
GW. The same GW we destroyed 5 years ago.
Alright, so it's missing one.
Ever since GW was cut off, JD and the other 3 AIs have controlled all information on every aspect.
We destroyed that in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Economics, politics, law, morals, and culture. The war economy is no exception. In the shadow of the system and its complete control over the world, Big Boss isn't allowed to live or die. He's trapped for eternity in a brain-dead prison. To bind himself to his friend, to ensure his rule over the world, Zero transformed Big Boss into an icon, neither living nor dead.
Sounds almost like a religion.
Naturally, Ocelot and I plan to free him from Zero's prison. We enlisted Naomi Hunter, an authority in the field of nanomachine research, into our organization. And we used Frank Yeager.
Okay, so Paramedic is dead.
Ocelot tortured the DARPA chief, Donald Anderson, also known
Yep,
as Sigma,
first game.
and made it look like an accident.
The Shadow Moses incident.
With Paramedic and Signet dead, Zero was the only one left. But we too paid a price. I lost Ocelot. Ocelot wasn't fighting for the Pentagon or the Russians, and certainly not for Zero. He was fighting for Big Boss. He idolized.
Yep, ever since he kicked his ass multiple times in Metal Gear Solid 3 and embarrassed him in front of his superiors, he idolized him.
When Ocelot grafted Liquid's right arm to his own, his body was taken over by Liquid's thoughts and spirit. He may be Ocelot in physical form, but his mind is Liquid's. I was the last one. And then someone appeared to help me.
Raiden.
It was when I met him that I finally